Bom, testando aqui. Cara, pelo que eu tô vendo nos vídeos, a minha voz ela tá ficando muito baixa, né, cara? A única forma de tu escutar bem minha voz é se tu tiver com o vídeo no YouTube no máximo e o fone no máximo também, ou o volume do computador. Porque, porra vida, velho, que dificuldade. Então, parece que a única forma é eu ter que deixar muito perto da boca aqui o som pra sair legal. Tristeza. Mas vamos lá, ó. Cara, cansado. Parece que já passaram muito mais tempo, já passou-se muito mais tempo fazendo esses vídeos e porra, estudando do que o fato passou só 12 dias. Mas um pouco cansado. Vamos que vamos, velho. Dia não. Caralho. Então aí, ó. 23 cartões pra revisar hoje. Eu deixei também um artigo aqui preparado. Não, no Spotify, no Medium. Na verdade, deixei algumas opções aqui de artigos se eu gostei. Que a gente pode ler, caso acabe rápido. O que muito provavelmente não vai acontecer, porque vai ter bastante cartão de ontem aqui. Vai ter no mínimo 11. Quer dizer, né, vão ter provavelmente os 11 cartões que eu cadastrei ontem. E mais esses 12 aleatórios aí. Né? Mas então vamos lá. Tá saindo, na moral, tudo certo. Então. Opa. Ai, ai. Ah, é. Caralho, esse não tem som. Tava vendo se não tava rolando som aqui. Meu Deus, tô mal. Ai. Hum. No entanto, foi o seu pensamento convergente que permitiu pegar essas ideias amplas. However, was his convergent thinking that allow him to take these broader ideas. So, however, was his convergent thinking that allows him to take these broader ideas.
However, it was his convergent thinking that allowed him to take these broad ideas.
Broad ideas. Não tá ruim não, né? Portanto, suas soluções não são apenas criativas, mas profundamente perspicazes. Qual era o outro, cara? No entanto, portanto, é a mesma coisa, né? Não, portanto não. Obviamente não. Portanto é therefore, né? Então tá certo.
How
Ah, já mudou. Desculpa lá. Foda-se. Sem limitações pelos compartimentos disciplinares que frequentemente restringem nosso pensamento hoje em dia. Então, without limitation. Without limitation é o caramba. Unbounded. Unbounded by the disciplinary silos. Disciplinary silos that often restrict our thinking today. So, unbounded by the disciplinary silos that often restrict our thinking today.
unbounded by the disciplinary silos that often restrict our thinking today.
Bem legal. Mas cada obra pode carregar o peso da experiência e complexidade que é difícil de igualar. But each piece. Seria. Eu já não lembro se era piece, mano. Acho que é piece. But each piece. But each piece could carry the weight. Of experience and complexity that is hard to match.
But each piece could carry a weight of experience and complexity that's hard to match.
É carry a weight. Carry a weight. Não é carry the weight. O mesmo se aplica a designers mais experientes que podem criar designs profundamente intuitivos e amigáveis ao usuário. Então, the same applies to more skilled or more experienced designers who can create deeply intuitive and user-friendly designs. Então, The same applies to more experienced designers who can create deeply intuitive and user-friendly designs.
The same applies to more experienced designers who can create deeply intuitive and user-friendly designs, where their accumulated wisdom and expertise become invaluable assets.
Então, aonde... Opa, desculpa. Ah, tá, nossa, velho, que bizarro. Eu li em inglês e tava tentando traduzir pro português, tá ligado? Como se isso fosse... Não, mas é pra fazer isso. Nossa, mano. Meu Deus. Já tá em outro mundo. Where their accumulated wisdom and expertise become invaluable assets. Where their accumulated wisdom and expertise become invaluable assets. É assets não, é assets. Então, onde todo o seu... Onde sua sabedoria e experiência acumulada se tornam ativos inestimáveis, tipo isso, né? Assets ativos inestimáveis. Onde sua sabedoria e experiências acumuladas se tornam derivadas de um poço de experiências que não podem ser facilmente replicadas. Então, derivada, eu esqueci, tio. Derivadas de um poço de experiência. Derived, não lembro, derived of a well of experience derived from, né? Derived from a well of experience that can be easily replicated. That can't be easily replicated. Derived from a well of experience that can be easily replicated.
Derived from a well of experiences that can't be easily replicated.
Experiences. Tem que botar um pouquinho mais de esforço aqui na pronúncia, né, mano? Derived from a well of experiences that can be easily replicated.
And they also had each a bed to sleep in.
And they also had each a bed to sleep in. Que loucura, né, mano, esse sleep in aí, velho. Não tem nenhum sentido, mano, esse sleep in. Dormir, hein? Ligado? É sleep in. Pô, a bed to sleep. Ponto. Tira o in. Pra que tem esse in? And they also had each a bed to sleep in. Então, e cada um deles também tinha uma cama. E cada um deles também tinha uma cama para dormir. Cada um deles tinha também uma cama para dormir. Mas os projetos com os quais se envolvem são frequentemente abordados com um nível de detalhe e complexidade que só vem de anos de aprimoramento da arte. Então, but the projects com os quais se envolvem. Nossa, mano, isso aqui é de ontem. But the projects they do involve, não é involve, é they do. Ai. The projects they do involve are often approached with a level, não é abordados também não é approached. Nossa. Projects they do involve. Yeah. Projects they do involve are often approached with a level of detail and complexity that only comes from years of honing on craft, né? Isso. But the projects they do involve are often approached with a level of detail and complexity that only comes from years of honing one's craft. Mas eu acho que não é involve nem approached.
But the projects they do engage with are often tackled with a level of detail and complexity that only comes from years of honing one's craft.
Engage. Involve engage. But the projects they do engage. But the projects they do engage are often tackled. É. Não, será que approached não ia estar errado? Não ia estar certo também? Mas tudo bem. Acertei, né? Seus designs são menos propensos a serem experimentais, mas mais propensos a oferecer uma experiência intuitiva e amigável ao usuário. Então, their designs are less likely to be experimental, but more likely to offer an intuitive and user-friendly experience.
Their designs are less likely to be experimental, but more likely to offer an intuitive, user-friendly experience.
Intuitive. Da Vinci era tanto um ávido aprendiz quanto um praticante aplicado em campos tão diversos quanto arte, engenharia, anatomia e muitos outros. Então, Da Vinci was a voracious learner and an applied practitioner in fields as diverse as art, engineering, anatomy, and many more. Eu não lembro se é anatomy. Não, é anatomy. Grey's Anatomy. É? Tá certo? Não sei. Da Vinci was a voracious learner and an applied practitioner in fields as diverse as art, engineering, anatomy, and many more.
Da Vinci was both a voracious learner and an applied practitioner in fields as diverse as art, engineering, anatomy, and many more.
Anatomy. Faltou both, but Da Vinci was both a voracious learner and an applied practitioner in fields as diverse as art, engineering, anatomy, and many more. Ai, não. Tem que ser.
Da Vinci was both.
Portanto, suas soluções não são apenas criativas, mas profundamente perspicazes. Então, therefore, their solutions aren't just creative, but deeply insightful. Acho que é isso. Therefore, their solutions aren't. Não, these solutions aren't. Their solutions isn't just creative, but deeply insightful.
Their solutions, therefore, aren't just creative but deeply insightful.
Aren't. Por que aren't? Porque their solutions are. Their solutions is. As soluções, elas são deles, então. Eu pensei, pô, solutions são coisas, solutions não é are. Não é my solution are good. Mas my solution não é isso por causa do my, né? My name is. Ai, meu Deus, que dificuldade esse inglês, cara. O cara não sabe a regra gramatical. Mas tudo bem, né? Vai ter que ser de novo. Aren't just creative, but deeply insightful. Yes. Designers experientes frequentemente trazem para a mesma a compreensão aguda da psicologia do usuário e design comprovados, o tried and true design principles. Então, experienced designers often bring to the table and deep and complete. No. An acute understanding of user psychology and tried and true design principles.
Experienced designers often bring to the table an acute understanding of user psychology and tried and true design principles.
Cara, eu não consigo entender por que não é brings to the table, é bring. Regras filhas da puta, cara. Bring to the table an acute understanding of user psychology and tried and true design principles. Quando pensamos em uma vida que personificou o equilíbrio entre o pensamento divergente e convergente, when you think of a life that epitomizes the balance between divergent and convergent thinking. Não é isso, né? When we think of a life that epitomizes the balance between divergent and convergent thinking.
When we think of a life that epitomized the balance between divergent and convergent thinking.
Epitomized, vamos ver.
When we think of a life that epitomized the balance between divergent and convergent thinking.
Epitomized. When we think of a life that epitomized the balance between the divergent and convergent thinking. Então, de novo aqui. Imagine um artista mais velho que passou anos a aperfeiçoar sua arte. Imagine an older artist who has spent has spent years mastering their craft. Mastering his craft. So imagine an older artist. Imagine an older artist who spent years mastering his craft. Acho que não tem who have spent.
Imagine an older artist
who
who has
has.
spent years mastering their craft.
Imagine an older artist who has spent years mastering their craft. E é their. Ah, eu não posso falar. Nossa, essa aqui eu errei feio, feiaço. Tanto numa quanto noutra. Não é their, lógico que não é his, porque é um pronome neutro, né? An older artist, não sabe se é uma mulher ou homem. Um artista pode ser qualquer um, então é their, pronome neutro. E o has spent tá certo. O has spent years mastering their craft. É, tá certo. Imagine an older artist who has spent years mastering their craft. Eu só não entendi porque que é. An older artist, então é he, né? Ou she. É he ou she, perfeito. Então se é he ou she, é has. Ok. Ai, meu Deus. Que vai ter que ser de novo também. E executá-las com sucesso em uma variedade de meios. And execute them successfully. Ah, não. Aqui é... Tem uma pegadinha aí. And execute them in a variety of mediums successfully. And execute them and execute in a variety of mediums successfully.
And execute them in a variety of mediums successfully.
Variety of mediums successfully. And execute them in a variety of mediums successfully. Variety.
And execute them in a variety of mediums successfully.
Variety. Pô, eu já não tô passando, pô. Eles podem aceitar menos projetos. They may take on fewer projects.
They may take on fewer projects.
Porra, até que enfim. É evidente que Da Vinci deixou sua curiosidade vagar livremente. It's evident that Da Vinci let his curiosity roam free.
It is evident that Da Vinci let his curiosity roam free.
É roam, não é roam, mas tudo bem. Roam.
I want to get to know my new colleagues.
I want to get to know my new colleagues. Eu quero conhecer meus novos colegas melhor.
They were eager to hear the latest news.
They were eager to hear the latest news. Eles estavam muito ansiosos, para ouvir as últimas notícias. Mostra um nível extraordinário de detalhe e habilidade, uma perfeita encarnação do pensamento convergente. Embodiment seria usado para encarnação, né? Embodiment, tipo uma junção, né? Uma coisa com outra, embodiment. Então, show extraordinary level of detail and skill. A perfect embodiment of convergent thinking. Show a extraordinary level of detail and skill, a perfect embodiment of convergent thinking.
Show an extraordinary level of detail and skill, a perfect embodiment of convergent thinking.
An extraordinary, not a extraordinary, an extraordinary. A perfect embodiment. Mas não vou botar por causa de uma palavra. Suas obras-primas artísticas, como Mona Lisa e Última Ceia, então they are artistic masterpieces like Mona Lisa and The Last Supper.
His artistic masterpieces, like the Mona Lisa and the Last Supper.
Isso não se limita às artes, mas se estende a várias profissões criativas, incluindo design. This isn't limited to the arts, but as it extends to various creative professions, including design. This isn't limited to the arts, but it extends but it extends to various creative professionals, including design.
This isn't limited to the arts as it extends to various creative professions, including design.
As duas vezes hoje eu acertei de primeira. Eu tinha falado as de primeira, que foi o que eu primeiro pensei. Depois eu corrigi e errei. Isso sempre aconteceu a minha vida inteira. No ensino médio, no ensino fundamental, a primeira tentativa sempre é a mais chance de estar certa, cara. This isn't limited to the arts. This isn't limited to the arts as it extends to various creative professionals, including design. Mas os projetos com os quais se envolvem são frequentemente abordados com um nível de detalhe e complexidade que só vem de anos de aprimoramento da arte. But the projects they do engage with. Agora eu lembrei, eu nem tinha lido engage with na última, que eu errei aqui. Eu nem tinha lembrado disso, eu lembrei agora aleatoriamente. But the projects they do engage with are often tackled with a level of detail and complexity that only comes from years of honing one's craft.
But the projects they do engage with are often tackled with a level of detail and complexity that only comes from years of honing one's craft.
Leonardo da Vinci se destaca como um exemplo imponente. É isso. Leonardo da Vinci stands as a towering example.
Leonardo da Vinci stands as a towering example.
Da Vinci era tanto um ávido aprendiz quanto um praticante aplicado em campos tão diversos quanto arte, engenharia, anatomia e muitos outros. Então, Da Vinci was both a voracious learner and an applied practitioner in fields as diverse as art, engineering, anatomy, and many more.
Da Vinci was both a voracious learner and an applied practitioner in fields as diverse as art, engineering, anatomy, and many more.
Voracious! Ai, meu Deus. Portanto, suas soluções não são apenas criativas, mas profundamente perspicazes. Therefore, their solutions aren't just creative, but deeply insightful.
Their solutions, therefore, aren't just creative but deeply insightful.
Quando pensamos em uma vida que personificou o equilíbrio entre o pensamento divergente e convergente, when we think of a life that epitomized the balance between divergent and convergent thinking, when we think of a life that epitomized the balance between divergent and convergent thinking.
When we think of a life that epitomized the balance between divergent and convergent thinking.
E executá-las com sucesso em uma variedade de meios. And execute in a variety of mediums successfully.
And execute them in a variety of mediums successfully.
And execute them in a variety of mediums successfully. And execute them in a variety of mediums successfully. Imagine um artista mais velho que passou anos aperfeiçoando sua arte. Imagine an older artist who has spent years mastering their craft.
Imagine an older artist who has spent years mastering their craft.
Cara, deu 23 minutos, eu vou ler um pouquinho do artigo, só pra gente ver aqui qual é que é. Vou pegar um artigo bem rápido aqui. Desperate for equations that will rewire your mindset. Então... minutos. Vamos ver esse aqui de 4, ó. Vamos ver esse aqui de 4, meu amigo. Falando. How to think about systems instead of problems. Não, esse aqui não. Vamos ver esse aqui rapidinho. 4 minutos. Thinking is the most mysterious and ambiguous thing that a person has. There are many ways to describe thinking, therefore, a variety of adjectives can be observed as a companion of the word thinking. Systemic, creative, conscious, logical, rational, positive, critical, etc. Scientists spend their lives studying human thinking. I definitely can compete with them. Therefore, we will talk about thinking amateurishly. I understand thinking as a fundamental skill that defines our picture of the world and help us solve problems. Wikipedia says this. Wikipedia, my friend. You use Wikipedia as a source of information. Thinking Thinking is a cognitive activity of a person. Cognitive activity is a set of process, procedures, and methods of acquiring knowledge about the phenomena and laws of the objective world. All people are born with thinking, but speaking about the development of thinking, everyone achieves different results. Surely, you have seen people who can be said to have a narrow mindset. Não sei como é que fala narrow. They do not see the whole picture, they do not understand the cause and effect relationships and the consequence of their decisions. It is like they don't understand what is going on. You have also seen people who think inspired or raised. No, you have also seen people whose thinking inspired you or raised the question, so it was possible. I used to think that the difference between such people is in the presence of analytical thinking. I was wrong. Science this is alone. Science this is alone. Science this is only. Nossa, cara, I was wrong. Science this is only person's ability to make decisions based on logic and analysis. I was wrong. Science this is only. This is only. I was wrong. Science disease. Porra, disease é foda. This is only a person's ability to make decisions based on logic analysis. Everything is much more complicated. This is often a difference in the level of system, abstract, critical, and creative thinking. If we take into account the entire typology of thinking, then there are about 30 types of thinking. We will not disassemble all types. Our task is to optimize thinking to help it work more efficiently. When you can quickly and objectively draw conclusions in order to make decisions based on logic, facts, and not be subjected to cognitive distortions and misconceptions. Cara, é bem difícil, né, velho? Porque tem palavras assim que tu só não sabe as letras, né, que te pega, né? When you can quickly and objectively draw conclusions in order to make decisions based on logic and facts and not be subjected to cognitive distortions and misconceptions. Okay. Knowledge and optimization methods help to optimize thinking. Tô começando a ficar irritado. Falar inglês, cara, e saber que você tá falando errado dá muita raiva. Knowledge is the foundation. It allows you to learn about the enemies of thinking. Mindset, stereotypes, emotions, cognitive distortions, information overload, and so on are all examples of hindrances to thinking. If this is the first time you hear about cognitive distortions, you don't even realize that you already exposed to them. For example, frequent repetition of lies makes deception plausible for a person, or people tend to positively evaluate their choice, even if it was wrong. These are cognitive distortions, or in another way, errors of thinking. Knowing that they are there, the probability of noticing them increases. If you think that you will easily remember a couple of cognitive distortions, then I will disappoint you. There are a lot of them. Look for articles on the carry one. Como é que fala o 176? 176. Cognitive distortions. You will find beautiful infographics, descriptions, and examples from life. Yes, we were sitting reading a book, and there are essa porra aí, né? 176 incomprehensible things that interfere with our life and make thinking ineffective. By the way, brands and marketing successfully use this so that you carry money where you need it. O quê? Que desgraça, porra, não tô entendendo um caralho agora dessa merda, dessa porra, dessa frase. Yes, we are sitting reading a book and there are essa porra incomprehensible things that interfere with our life and make things ineffective. Ok, isso eu entendi. By the way, brands and marketing successfully use this so that you carry money where you need it. A não ser que carry money seja uma gíria, phrasal verb, sei lá. To start observing basic safety precautions against cognitive distortion, read the book Think Slowly, Decide Quickly, by Daniel Kahneman. He examines. Cara, opa, cara. Assim, a gente consegue aprender, mas a gente tem um limite, tá ligado? A gente começa a ficar muito irritado por ter tanta coisa nova pra aprender, sabe? Muita coisa nova pra aprender. É pronúncia, é uma porrada de coisa, cara. E aí eu fico às vezes noiado, não consigo não ficar noiado com a pronúncia. Não consigo, cara.
Examines.
Examiners, vai se fuder, meu, vai se fuder, não tem nenhum sentido com o resto da língua, pô. Examiners, examinais, aí vocês põem emanais de um lado e desse lado é o examiners, vai se fuder. He examines in detail the process of thinking and decision making, as well as the resulting illusions, distortions, and errors. After reading it, you will become much more conscious. The blind spot effect. The inability to recognize that you have cognitive distortions is also a cognitive distortion. Caralho, pode crer. People are more likely to notice erroneous behavior and driving motives in others than themselves. Tá lógico. Protect themselves from cognitive distortions, stereotypes, and psychological inertia, people have come with many methods for solving problems, making decisions, and generating ideas. You already know many of them from goal setting and time management. For example, SMART, GROW, Discard Square, and others. These are examples that guide you through the script and keep your thoughts from flying apart. All of them are aimed at activating and strengthening one or more types of thinking. Most often at logical, critical, creative. Most often at logical, critical, creative, system, and strategic thinking. Note that we are talking about activating and strengthening. By themselves, methods will not replace thinking. To increase the effectiveness of thinking, you need to develop basic skills of logical, critical, creative, strategic, and system thinking. Cara, que artigo chato! How all kinds of thinking work effectively together are already a topic of intelligence. It is better to delve into such details with professionals in their field, such as the author of courses on system thinking, engineering, and management Anatoly Levenchuk. Thinking is the behavior of the intellect. Que artigo chato, meu. Meu amigo, esse artigo foi muito chato. The topic is boundless and multifaceted. Multifaceted. But I will try to describe the starting point in improving the basic types of thinking so that you understand which way to develop and start thinking more effectively. Tchau.